Now for our What in the World segment. President Cyril Ramaphosa's government in South Africa is facing a fierce debate over an age-old problem: land. Specifically, who owns it and who doesn't. That issue is an open wound in the country's post-apartheid era. On the left, there are calls for the government to seize land held by white South Africans, putting serious pressure on President Ramaphosa's government. For white farmers, these calls for expropriation without compensation are familiar. They evoke the violence of government-mandated seizures of white-owned farms in neighboring Zimbabwe nearly 2 decades ago under Robert Mugabe. And for many, the debate stirs up fears that South Africa could fall to economic devastation like its neighbor to the north. Emotions about land reform run high and misinformation abounds. But here are the facts. Expropriation without compensation has happened before in South Africa. In 1913, the government passed the Natives Land Act. Back then, it grabbed 87% of arable land for whites and corralled black South Africans onto reserves where they had no individual ownership rights. Black livelihoods were destroyed. Today, not enough has changed. Of all the agricultural land owned by individuals across the country, 72% is owned by whites, who make up just 9% of the population. 4% of that land is owned by black South Africans, who make up 79% of the population. Nelson Mandela pledged that 30% of South African land held by whites would be distributed to poor black citizens after apartheid. But progress is painfully slow.